We are at the Chelsea in Brick, New Jersey, in conjunction with the Center for U.S. War Veterans Oral Histories at the National Guard Militia Museum of New Jersey in Seagirt. Today is March 16th, 2017. I am Carol Fowler, Director of the Center. Assisting me is Christine Galassi, Oral Historian. Our honored veteran is Frank Mercurio, who served with the 78th Lightning Division in the United States Army in World War II. He served from April of 1943 until June of 1946 and was a radio operator, infantry, and searchlight. Thank you for wanting to be here today, Frank. Your eyewitness account is considered a primary historical source and a valuable contribution to our Veteran History Project at the National Guard Militia Museum. And good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
Frank, take us back to life prior to service. Had anyone in your family served before you?
Yes. There were 4 other brothers before me who served in the Second World War, and I was the 5th brother out of 7 who served in the Second World War in Germany. There were 5 of us there. Fortunately, we all came back. We're lucky.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
And what else to say down here?
What about your parents? Had your dad or anybody, uncles?
My parents were still living at the time, just praying every day that we all come back, which, like I say, thank God we did, with the big burden off their shoulders.
How did you come to be in the service?
I didn't want to go. I was working as a welder in a shipyard when I got the letter to come be. And I don't think it's down there. I was working in a shipyard, and I got my letter. I was inducted, and I tried to get out of it, but they said, "No way, we need you," and that was it.
Where did the Army first send you?
Well, from Fort Dix to North Carolina, Camp Davis, North Carolina.
Sorry, Camp what?
Camp Davis, Camp North Carolina. They broke us in to be working as a searchlight. From there, we went overseas. They broke us up from the searchlight to communications, to infantry, because they needed the men. That was it. We had no choice. We just had to do it.
What kind of adjustment was it for you to go into the service?
It was kind of rough a little bit, It was a different kind of life, let's face it. But after a while, you get used to it. You take it with a grain of salt, and that was it. And every day you just prayed. That's it. If you weren't a religious man when you went into the service, you were when you came out. Believe it.
Oh, good point.
I believe it.
What kind of adjustment was it for you to be in the South? You had grown up in Jersey, and now you're in North Carolina.
It was different. We found out it was a slower life down there in North Carolina, but you didn't have too much to do with the people outside of our camp. You would just try to wait and spend your time just. I'm looking for words now. Trying to break your stuff into the military life, which after a while, whether you liked it or not, you had to like it. That was it. You got to like it. There was no 2 ways about it, and you just did it.
What are your memories from boot camp?
In boot camp, how rough it was. They didn't treat you with kid gloves, believe it. But after a while, you found out why they treated you that way. Once you got overseas, there was no such thing as mama's boy, Those bullets were flying all over the place. Then you thank God you had that kind of training. That was it. It was rough.
So where did you go after Camp Davis?
From Camp Davis, they took us to Fort Dix.
Back to Fort Dix?
Back to Fort Dix. They put us on a train to New York. We went overseas on the Queen Elizabeth. There were 15,000 troops aboard the Queen Elizabeth. There was a lot of troops. And you say, how is that possible? In a room like this, there was maybe 30 men in a room like this. Your bunks were this far. 5 high. 5 high.
Which one were you?
I had the bottom one. Thank God.
Oh, you're glad?
I had the bottom bunk, and Sometimes I wonder, are those guys going to fall down on me or what? You know, it was an experience. Let's put it that way. It was an experience that most people will never live through it, never. And I thank God for it.
Where did the ship end up?
In Le Havre, France. Le Havre, France. And
Wait, this is after D-Day then, right?
oh yes, oh yeah.
When was this?
June the 4th, 1944. Was it?
No, I mean, when did you get to France?
Oh, in early part of 1943. Just right after the invasion. No, right after the invasion, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
1940, the invasion was 1944.
Right.
Right after the invasion, it was
So you got there that summer?
in the wintertime.
The winter of 44?
And the only thing we had to protect ourselves for sleep was the liner of a sleeping bag on the ground, and it was cold.
It was the worst winter they had
Oh
had.
God, it was cold, and you couldn't wait to get out of the bag and start walking to get some heat back in your body.
Were you intense? You were intense?
Intense? Never,
No?
never. We slept on the ground, or if we happened to take over a town, we chased the people out of the house. We lived in the town. We lived in the house overnight. That was it. That was the only time we got any kind of protection. And there were good sides to that too. This one town we took over. There was a woman with just her little daughter, and her husband was in the army. And I think my colonel was Colonel Lutz. Never forget him. He said we had an interpreter. He said, tell her she can stay in the house with the baby. And we took over the rest of the house just for one night. That was it. That was it. There were a lot of good points. A lot of bad ones. You know, most of them were bad. But sometimes you don't want to talk about them. But sometimes you have to get it out of your system.
That's true.
Just like Carol said before.
Christine,
I'm sorry.
I'm Carol.
You have to get it out of your system. And it took me over 2 years after I was discharged to stop looking back at me, see if anybody wasn't backing me. That was bad.
Wow.
You didn't know if a German soldier was coming up behind you to slit your throat or do something to you.
That's right.
That's why you kept looking all the time.
So how did you cope with that constant stress?
You have to put up with it. Put up with it or you go out of your mind. You have to. If you're not strong, you might as well shoot yourself.
Oh, okay.
You have to. It's an experience I wish none of you people would ever have to go through.
Right.
Ever. I don't want to see another war.
Right.
I don't. Like I said before, war is legal murder. It is.
No one's ever said
I
that.
can go out and kill a man and get the electric chair. I go on the battlefield, kill 100 men, I get a medal.
It's true, yeah.
Understand that?
Yeah.
It's not right. But that's life.
So what would you say was getting back to France?
I come up from Le Havre, France. They put us on a little boat to take us to in England to where did we land in England? We landed in England.
Southampton?
Southampton. Okay. Then we started walking. From there, when I say walking, we walked from Le Havre from from England to Le Havre, France.
No, there's an English channel.
No, the English tunnel?
Channel.
Channel?
Yeah, you
English
can't
channel.
walk.
They took it by boat.
Oh, right, yeah.
We can't unless we want to walk on water.
I know.
And from Le Havre, France, that's where we started walking from Le Havre, France, and I wound up in Berlin, Germany. That's a long walk.
All right, let's try and cover some things in between there.
In between, well, the little town, you take over little towns. Don't ask me the name of the towns, there were too many.
I know.
Just too many towns. You took one after another, and that's what you did. And if you were lucky enough, the chow truck came through and gave you a hot dinner. If not, you opened up a K ration or a C can, which wasn't the best, but it was food.
Right.
That was food.
That reminds me, did you have adequate supplies? You had quartermaster and troops following you with supplies?
Most of the time, yes. There were many times where the chow truck could not come through with the food because the Germans would spot it and just blow it up.
Oh.
And that's when we opened up a can of sea ration to eat.
Oh, that's a shame, yeah.
But hungry, you get hungry for a while, believe it. But our government had a chocolate bar. It was so rich. One little chunk like this will last you all day. It was so rich in vitamins or whatever. But it was, and everybody saved that piece of chocolate. And for the time that we couldn't get the hot food.
Oh, man.
You talk about food when you were lucky. Then after about a month or two, you got if you were lucky, you got a time where you can take a shower and change your clothes.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's where you go. It was bad. It was bad. But I'm glad it's over.
What was your baptism by fire? When did you first see the war, really?
Like I said, I can't remember the towns anymore. So some of the towns we went through Nuremberg. These are some of the towns. Nuremberg. That's one of the big towns. Like I said, most of the time were small villages.
So tell us your memories of the ones you can remember. Nuremberg, what do you remember of that?
I really can't.
Oh, okay.
There were numerous. There's so many of them.
Well, when were you like doing the radio operator job, the searchlight job?
I was a radio operator for my Colonel Lutz, and the reason why I was his radio operator, a sniper picked his radio operator off and killed him. So I was called up to take his place. And Colonel Lutz was about a foot taller than me, and I would walk alongside him, and I always remember him saying to me, "What are you afraid of dying?" I said, "You're damn right I am," I told him. But I stood right alongside him. Then I was his radio operator for about a month. Then the Germans counterattacked again. I had to get rid of the radio, and that's when I became a permanent infantryman after that. No such thing. They didn't need me anymore.
So what did that involve, carrying the radio? Was it very heavy?
Yeah, it was
a backpack?
It was a backpack. SCR 300 it was called. It was about that tall, about that wide, and about like that, and about like that. You put it on your back. It was heavy. And you see the antenna sticking up, and the Germans always look for that.
Oh.
They always try to pop you off first, right? To get rid of me, right? Mm-hmm. But I was lucky enough, and what saved me was Colonel Lutz got shot in the leg, and they brought him back to the hospital, and they didn't need me because the Germans were counterattacking. So they get rid of your radio. So I got rid of my radio. I shot it. You had to shoot it up, and that was it. From then on, I was permanent infantry all the way across.
And how did that work without communications?
Well, they had somebody else do it, but me, someone else did it. And they had these guys who run back and forth with the information. This way the Germans would never know what's going on. If you had the radio, they saw the antenna, well, they would go for me first. But they didn't see no antenna, and they didn't know who the guy was running back and forth, that they wouldn't bother him.
You were on foot for the whole war? You weren't on truck or jeep or anything?
Once in a while, if the Germans were so far ahead of us, they would put us on a truck to get us there faster. And that's the only time. The rest of the time you walked.
You never ran out of gas or anything?
No. That was Patton's job. They stuck it to him. I'm sorry to say that. He could have got that war over so fast if they gave him the gas.
Oh, right.
Believe me. What are you going to do? These tanks were just laying. He couldn't get the gas.
And you had the Red Ball Express helping him?
Yes, they were there bringing up supplies. They were there. I don't know what else to tell you. But like I said before, my company was 12 miles outside of Berlin. When the Germans came out with the white flag, they wanted to surrender Berlin to us. And they sent the word back to Washington. Washington says, "Let the Russians in." So we had to pull off the side and
surrender to the Russians.
Let the Russians go in. And we found out later on why he did that. When the Germans went into Stalingrad, they demolished Stalingrad. And this was to get back at the Germans. They demolished Berlin. And we walked into Berlin. You want to see destruction? You think a hurricane is bad? You should have seen Berlin.
Wow.
It was bad. And we walked through France, Paris. Paris was just, there were a lot of buildings still left in Paris, but most of them were down because of the war.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people ask, how was Paris? What I saw of it, it wasn't very great. It wasn't.
Were you there for the big victory parade?
No. Oh,
Oh.
I wasn't in the parade itself, no. But I was still there when they had it.
When Paris was liberated?
Then they put us on the Coaldale Victory with the boat I came home on. It was a little tramp steamer. That's what, just like a cork in the water. That's what it was. Like a cork in the water.
Okay.
Or we were Newburgh. Bad Newburgh was one town we took over. It was a little farm town. And there was this woman the woman I was telling you about had the little baby girl. She had no food at all in the house for the kid. No food in the house. So they called back to the quartermaster and they sent the truck that gave her a lot of food. And I don't even know whether I want to say this or not, but we're looking down the road, there was a German soldier walking towards the house, right? And the woman started to cry, and to our interpreter, this was her husband. So I said to Colonel Lutz, I said, Colonel, what do we do? So he came over, he said he wanted to know who he was. He got all the information from him, what outfit he was with and stuff like that. But Colonel Lutz had a big heart. He says, look, he said to the interpreter, tell them to get in his house, burn that uniform, and stay into the house until the war is over.
Oh.
She came over and hugged every one of
What a
us.
story.
But that was the lighter side of the story.
What a
of the
story.
war.
Never
But
heard
most of it
anything
was
like
just
that.
hell. Just hell.
So that was in Germany then, right?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that, Frank.
No,
Really beautiful.
it's something I break up. What else?
It's okay.
What was that on?
It's okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'll just put it over here,
Okay.
so, we're gonna need
Okay.
more.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
And then after the war, we were stationed in Berlin. We had to protect the railroad station in Berlin with the Russians.
You were the occupation?
Occupation. Yeah. Until I came home in 45, 46.
So what do you mean with the Russians?
The Russians and the Americans came to Berlin at the same time. After the Russians got there, I should say. Then the Americans came in, and we became friends then. And we have an American soldier and a Russian soldier at the same time guarding the railroad station in the Berlin railroad station. And that was hell with the Russian. If they saw your watch, they wanted your watch.
Oh.
You had to hide your watch. They want the American watches.
I thought you said that, but you weren't, the troops weren't friends, right? The troops didn't, get
The
together?
the Russians? Oh yeah, the Russian troops.
They were friendly with our troops, but they wanted our watches.
We were friends. The troops. If you were Russian, a German Russian, a Russian soldier, and I was American, we were friends. It was the officers who hated each other. That's what it was. But we shared everything with them. We shared. But we knew I had to kill, you had to kill. We all knew that. But the colonels and stuff, they were in the back room somewhere, probably enjoying themselves. Who knows? But I was there until they put me on a little boat to come back home. That's when I don't have nothing to do with the army anymore. I just didn't want to.
A little boat, not like the Queen Elizabeth?
No, not the big one. The name of the boat was Coaldale Victory.
Was it a Liberty ship?
A Liberty ship. And that thing was like a cork in the ocean. Bounce and bounce. 10 days, seasick, 10 days.
Oh.
Like you couldn't wait to get home.
Were you in the bottom bunk again?
No, that boat, I forget where I was on that boat there, on that boat. Wherever it was, it made no difference. It all came up.
Right.
It all came, but you're bombing around. Don't ever go into the service. Go to Canada. Cut that out.
Oh, no.
No. I'm glad I did what I did, to make our country free. I mean it. I only hope the younger generation realizes that. That's all.
Absolutely.
They have no idea what a country we have. No idea at all.
Bill?
I agree with that completely.
Believe it. And I did a lot of traveling in different countries, and I saw the way those people live. It was a shame. It was really a shame. Where the politicians treat them like dogs. Then you come here, we have all this freedom, and we have hate. Why? Why can't we just love each other? Say, hey, thank you, hello, buddy, and stuff like that. You don't
Right.
do that.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that after 9/11. A lot of people were friendlier than usual.
Yeah, and then
patriotic,
it
of
died
course.
down. Then it died down. Only at that moment.
So we shouldn't take it for granted.
That's why you ask the older generation, they'll tell you a lot of things, you know. Believe me.
We have a lot to learn, yeah.
You know, and even during the war there, you watch these German people, they had no food at all. And we had the food in our little mess kits. The food that we didn't want, we threw into the garbage can. They were
Right.
standing with buckets.
Yeah.
No matter what you had, mix it. They went home and ate it. That's how hungry they were. You know. Oh, and concentration camps. Oh God, you can be a mile away. You can smell the dead bodies. You know. Then when you go up to them, you want to just throw up. It was so bad.
You saw a
I saw
concentration
that.
camp?
That's right.
Which
So
one?
you saw
do you
the
know?
ovens where they cooked them all, and
Do you know which one that was?
oh God, no, I don't.
Okay.
But
There were a lot of them.
My granddaughter in Pennsylvania has army books that have pictures of them, of these things,
Right.
and you cannot imagine seeing so many dead bodies. Just throw them in a ditch, and they spray a liquid lime over them, and then cover them with dirt. That's all they did.
Did you know anything about the Holocaust?
Did I know anything about it? Oh yeah,
I mean, not until you
until I saw it. Until
got
And
there.
these people don't believe it. You go there and find out what it doesn't dig up those graves, you'll find out what it is.
Did you see any prisoner of war camps?
Yes, one of them. We captured over 20,000 Germans in my outfit. And we had no fence around them. They weren't going nowhere. And we had to feed them. Not me personally, you know.
Right.
The American, we had to feed them. And I don't know what happened to them after we went ahead. Maybe, I don't know whether they told the guys to go home or what. I have no idea. But I was glad to get rid of them. We had some German prisoners that worked here in New Jersey, in Edison, New Jersey, which is only about 2 miles from where he lived.
Oh, okay.
Had German prisoners.
Camp Kilmer?
Was Camp Kilmer. And there. And one of my cousins, he was a captain in an Italian Navy aboard a submarine. I don't know whether you can even say this or not, but when the war broke out, he was a wise guy. He had brains. He turned the submarine around and surrendered it to the Americans and said, I don't want to fight. You did the right thing, I told him. He was smart. They didn't want to fight. There were a lot of people like that. They don't want to go to the war, but they had to. But like I said to you before, when somebody's shooting at you, you're not going to sit there and go like that. You're going to shoot back.
Self-defense.
Like I said before, you walk in, the guy alongside he's falling down. He got shot, and you say, how come the bullet missed me and hit him? Why?
Right.
You can never answer that question.
Talk about your homecoming now.
When I was discharged in Fort Dix, I had to go through the barracks, the Red Cross girl, and they want all the information from you. I said, look, all I want to do is go home. Please, just let me go home. Sit down. She yelled at me, sit down. She wanted my rank, my serial number, and the rest of that stuff. Any wounds, I told her where I was hit and stuff like that. And I said, look, can I go home now? I just want to go home. They said, okay, we got all the information we want. You'll hear from us. And I had my duffel bag, all my belongings. She said, you left your duffel bag. I said, you could have it. I said, I'm not with the Army no more. I left my duffel bag, all my personal stuff, everything I had in my life. I left it. I didn't want it. All I had was the clothes I had on.
Did you have letters in there?
No, nothing personal.
Oh, right.
Nothing personal. All my letters. Once I got my letters from my wife, I just burnt them, tore them up.
Why?
The Germans would pick them up and give them information from them.
Oh.
And that's why you did that. You left nothing there.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Nothing there. And you live almost a personal life there, in quiet. Nobody want to know what's going on with yourself. Keep out of my way.
Right.
Keep out of my way.
Tell me, where was that, where you dropped your duffel bag?
In Fort Dix.
I thought so, okay.
Fort Dix. I left it there. What are you going to do with them? You could have them.
And that was in 46?
In 46. In April of 46. And I got married in August of that 46. That's what I told my wife. I was telling her before I went overseas. My wife, she wanted to get married. I said, no. If I come back, we'll get married. But I don't want to leave you a widow before I get to know you. Thank God I came back. Then we got married in August. Yeah, we got married that same August. I didn't wait. We were together for 32 years, and as a matter of fact, she passed away 32 years ago, my wife.
Oh.
She had a brain tumor. And I had her in my house, my round-the-clock nurses in my house for 6 months. Because no hospital would take her. What am I going to do? And I just watch her slowly, one day at a time, and that was it. And then the better part, I told her before, the better part of my discharge with her, one of the nurses and her husband picked her up. Well, I don't want to go back. I don't want to cut that one part. I'll leave that part out.
You can tell us when we're done.
Yes.
This one nurse and her husband called me they were going to take me out one Saturday night. I said I didn't want to go. Anyway, I finally went with them, and this woman walks down, sits at the bar. This woman, the nurse, her name was Rose. She said, "Buy her a drink." I said, "Rose, I don't know how to buy anybody a drink." Ann was the only girl I knew all my life. I had no other girlfriends, right? I tried to offer her a drink. She said, "I don't know you." All right. Week after week went by, she would buy a drink for me. And finally, I asked her to go out for dinner with me. And that's how we got to know each other. And we were together, her and I were together for 18 years. And she passed away 2 years ago with a stroke. That was my life. I said, no more women. I'm bad luck for them. My wife, and then her name was Marge. Well, she could have been my wife's twin.
Really?
They had the same, what word am I looking for? They acted the same way. We knew each other. They knew exactly how you were thinking. With this beautiful.
Oh,
She
wow.
didn't want to get married. I said, "You want to live together?" She said, "Sure." And we lived together for 18 years. And all we did was then travel and travel and travel. Just
Good
a lot
for you.
of traveling. That's what I wanted to do all my life. I never wanted to go back overseas. Never. I said, I don't want to see Europe no more. I had enough of it.
So you traveled to other places?
In our country.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
to Alaska twice, Hawaii twice, which fun. If you've never been there, go to these two places, Alaska and Hawaii. Go there. Believe it. It's just beautiful. You can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we traveled almost the whole country. A lot of islands we went to. We didn't sit home and make grass grow under our feet. And when she passed away, I said, "Now what do I do now?" And 2 years ago, she passed away.
Right.
That's enough.
So how many kids do you have?
I had the one boy, and he died 18 years ago in cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was it. I had 3 granddaughters, 5 great-grandkids.
Wow.
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, okay. All right, well, any
That's a
questions?
sore thumb.
That's okay.
Okay.
Questions?
Well, I hope I gave you enough information.
All right. Frank, I just want to say that we are honored and humbled that you're here with us today to speak to us of your sacrifice and contributions that you made in service to your country. Thank you, and God bless you, and welcome home.
Thank you. Okay, then.
Great.